All right, gearheads. So let's go ahead and get into um, one of my new prized possessions here with the unique melody Mest MKii. I know we're on the advent of them currently coming out with or announcing at least their next flagship IEMs. I believe it's the Mest, and then you have the new Fusang Reds, which are like 8 grand or something ridiculous like that. And those all have bone conduction drivers as well, because these have been so successful with these units here. So my impressions of these, so there's a couple things to really look at here. One of my subscribers pretty much brought up bass, and because of the bone conduction driver in these headphones, it's a little bit, for me, it's a little bit of a hit or a miss. It kind of depends on the music that you're listening to. So these sound really good with like artificial bass, like hip hop, and probably EDM as well, although I'm not an EDM listener. But these sound really good with hip hop bass. They have a great response as long as you can get a good fit. As you can see here, the shells are kind of big. They fit my ears pretty well because I have really big ears and big ear canals. So I'm able to kind of shove these things in there, and I'm able to be fairly comfortable for a prolonged period of time. But if you're not that type of person, I kind of recommend getting these in a custom build. I believe that the custom build would take better advantage of the bone conduction drivers. Now, there's been a few YouTubers that have already suggested this previously, and there's been a lot of people that are currently selling the universal pairs specifically just to get the customs, which isn't too much more money, honestly, if you were looking at the original pricing of these headphones. But I went ahead and I bought these for about $1,000 via somebody reselling them, and I feel like $1,000 is good enough for me because the universals fit my ears fairly well. But if you're not that type of person where universals fit you really well, or you have maybe a smaller ear canal, it's in general, then these aren't going to rest too well in your ear, and you're not going to get a very good bass response in general, most likely with these, because that bone conduction isn't going to be taken full advantage of. The way they configured these are really good because the mids are so very lush. It kind of reminds me of like the Dolby Audio settings that you'll see on a lot of phones. It reminds me of that. That's the kind of experience I'm getting with these. I'm getting a very full, slightly warmish audio experience with my mids with these, and I severely love that because that's what brings the music alive to me. When I'm listening to like a Gary Clark Jr. who has, you know, just a grown man voice, a very deep, raspy type of voice. Let me turn this thing on right here. And this is going to be my reference player that I'm using for this review of these headphones, the iBasso DX300. I freaking love this thing. This is probably my favorite player that I've ever had the opportunity of using. And I've used many players, you know, just going to audio conventions and meeting different people. I've used different players, but the iBasso DX300 to me is the best player I've ever used. It's just super big. So let's go in here into my library. This is one of the hip hop tracks that I say sound very good on here. But if I go to like a Gary Clark Jr., let's see, check out some, scroll through this library. It's somewhere down here. There we go, this land. If I listen to like a Gary Clark Jr. and I'm listening to like a Pearl Cadillac, where he kind of has his voice a bit on a high note, and there's just a lot of guitar playing heavily throughout the track, you can hear the separation fairly well. It's not a wide sound stage, but I feel like the lushness that these bring out in the vocals kind of give it a bit of an airy feel, but at the same time allowing the instrumentations to still do what they do and sound very well in place. That's not really a bassy track. A more bassier track I would say for say like a more rock genre is a low down Rolling Stone. His voice is very dark and raspy on this track. A lot of heavy guitar riffs and a lot of bass guitar going throughout this track here, and it just sounds very full and lush. And there's not like a strong rumble with these, because like I said, the mids still have their presence, but the bass, it hits pretty good. It hits pretty good. Now my reference for bass right now is the Empire Ear Legend X. Those are the most bassiest set I have. And I told the previous commenter on my unboxing video of this that I have somewhat of a bias because I've sat with those for so long, and I have them in a custom. I've never actually shown them on this channel because I didn't want to go down that road of just showing a bunch of expensive gear. I didn't want to go down that road of showing a bunch of expensive gear and making it seem like, you know, that's what my channel is going to be about. So I kind of wanted to wait. And I feel like this is a good, excuse me, this is a good reasoning to bring these out. So my kind of reference for bass is going to be these Empire Ear Legend X's. But the thing is about these is I have these in a custom. I have these in a custom, so they fit me perfectly, of course. And, you know, I'm not really getting any fit issues or any airiness that's sitting out there. It's just so, it just fits my ears so well. So the issues that people were originally having with this headset, with it having too much low end and smothering the mids, I don't have that issue with these. Now again, I have wider ear canals, as you can see here with the shape of this shell. This is kind of the shape of my ear, at least my inner ear, and I have really big ear canals. So for me, these kind of opened up so much that the mids are not an issue for me when it comes to having these custom. Now I'm wondering if I would probably have the same experience with these. As you can see, the shells are a lot smaller with these, and the nozzle is smaller. So for me, I could just shove these in there, and I think I'm getting the full effect that I could possibly get. Now, depending on how they might place the drivers, once you start getting customs and things like that, it can alter the sound a bit. And then, of course, with the fact that it being so flush in your ear canal and it having a bone conduction driver, that really fascinates me. That might be a route I might take somewhere down the line if they still have these available and if they're still offering. These are still selling, so I don't imagine they'll stop selling them. But with their next lineup coming out, who knows? But with these here, this is the bassiest set of IEMs I've ever had, and definitely the most responsive I've ever had. Don't have an issue with these having too much low end anymore because of the custom fit. I did listen to them universal, but that was years ago, and now I kind of wouldn't want to give an impression off of them based off of that. But these are the bassiest set I have. Now another bassy set I have, I believe these went out of sale, but these are the Thor Melnir. These are the Thor Melnir, and these are a very bassy set as well. These are very thunderous in the ear. Has an emphasis on bass. It can bleed out into the mids a little bit. Kind of want to change the tip on here, kind of see if maybe I can get a different different sound effect. Throw some spin fits on there or something like that. See if maybe it might change that or open it up a little bit for the vocals or for the mids. I need to play around with that. Definitely not in the price range of these two, but I definitely love this set. It's very fun to use. But these are my bass references, at least as far as what I personally have that I listen to on a regular basis. But if somebody was to call these their end game as far as listening to all genres of music I would say that they're on the money when it comes to these. Some people, I've heard say in forums and different things like that, that there might be some technical issues. If you're a real technical type of person and you maybe want to hear a note linger a little longer or have a little bit more weight, say in the treble region, maybe listening to a bit of classical music or listening to, what do you call it? Listening to maybe like old school jazz, some horns, things like that, and you want those notes to maybe have a bit more weight, then these don't really do that too well, at least not in my opinion. Not from what I like to listen to, it doesn't. But I'm okay with that because I'm not really a treble fan. But the treble that it does give me sometimes, I have to lower my volume on this player. I definitely have to lower my volume on some tracks. Some tracks I'm sitting at about a 40 and I am balanced. Then some tracks I'm like, man, that's too loud, and I'll lower the volume 5 or 6 notches because it just hits my ear a little bit wrong. But I'm treble sensitive, so that's where my bias kind of comes in and creeps into this a little bit. I'm a little bit treble sensitive, so there's some things where it just hits my ear and I just kind of cringe a little bit, and I gotta lower that volume a little bit, personally. But I think for other people, they might look at that as being energetic. They might look at this IEM when it does that as being very fun and energetic. But for somebody that maybe likes a little bit more of a clinical listen, maybe a flatter sound signature, these aren't going to be for them, because these things are doing so much at one time, and they're trying to be great in every single aspect of the musical spectrum. And I feel like these are probably the closest that I've ever listened to that have come to doing so. And I think that that's the perfect way that I can express it. These come the closest to me to being perfect that I've had the opportunity of listening to, other than my Legend X customs that give me the perfect amount of bass while still giving me the details in the treble region, but without giving me all that energy. These give the energy. They give me the low end, not as much as the Legend X's, but they give me that low end. I do hear it, I do feel it. It is enjoyable, and then it gives me that kind of Dolby audio full kind of mid sound, which is great for guitars. It's great for male vocals that are very grungy and very low end sounding. Gives it a lot of dynamic, and it's good for female vocals as well. So you have those females that can really hit those notes, the Amy Winehouses, the Adeles, the Anita Bakers, those type of people that are hitting those notes like that. You're definitely gonna hear it. Not only are you gonna hear it, but you're gonna feel it, because these definitely can do a lot with the treble. Those electrostatic drivers are no joke, and when you got something like the DX300 to power it, you're feeling your music. You're not just listening, you're feeling it. All right, so let's go through here and look at some more songs. When I listen to the Temptations, you have so many different styles of singers in the Temptations. Some have very deep voices like David Ruffin. Some have very high-pitched voices, and then the music itself is somewhat melodic. It's not too over the top. It's the voices that are really carrying the track. I feel like it does very well with this too, man. It gives me every part of the song that I'm looking for, and the experience is very pleasant. If you guys haven't had the opportunity to try these out, man, with the new sets coming out, people offloading gear in order to get new stuff all the time. Many people from day one, when I saw these first come out, dude, Many people from day one, they were selling them within like a week or 3 just to go back and rebuy customs. Like, no joke. That was with the Mest Mark 1. People sold those joints to buy customs and called it their end game. Now, the improvements on this, I feel like, kind of made the Mark 1's custom improvements that people were getting universal. That's how I feel like what these did. And then if you can get these custom, you know, you're doing something nasty. You're doing something nasty. And I don't feel like, you know, if you did spend that kind of money, and once again, I got a lot of money sitting here on the table. I don't necessarily say you gotta pay you gotta pay to play necessarily, because there's great audio experiences out there without spending exorbitant amounts of money. But if you did have the money, if money's no object to you, and you want something fly, and you want something nice where you don't feel like you're gonna get that itch for a while, then I would definitely say try to get these custom, because that's $2 grand well spent. Real talk. That's $2 grand well spent, and you're not gonna be missing out on too much else out there that's gonna be coming out. And you know what I mean, we chase the dragon, you know what I'm saying? We gearheads, of course, so we chase the dragon. We chase the fun. We like what we like, we get what we want, and that's cool. But if you're a meticulous type of person, and you know what you like, and you like fun IEMs that give you some details and give you that energy, along with that low end and a full well-rounded experience with the vocals and with guitar and every other instrumentation that kind of sits there in that mid-range section, that upper to mid-range section, with drums. And yeah, man, I would say try to get these custom fitted to your ear canals. If you got big ears like me, I guess it doesn't matter, but try to get these joints custom to you and be happy. When I think Unique Melody, I just think happy, because they did something beautiful here. And I love this kind of crushed carbon fiber look to it. If you guys know me, man, I love like that carbon fiber pattern type of look, and they kind of speckled it with gold. That's fly to me. I have that same kind of carbon fiber look for my phone, and I do have a wrap now for my new computer that I just got. And it's just, man, everything about this to me is pleasant and enjoyable. The tech in it sounds cool, and it legit works. I think the Mest Mark 1 proved that it works, and the Mest Mark 2 just made it better. So those of you guys out there that have been on the fence, and you got a little bit of bread that you could spend, I would say get the Unique Melodies. I would definitely recommend it. I don't recommend too many high-end items like this, or too many super expensive IEMs, but this is one that I'm definitely going to vouch for and tell you that if you were going to get any expensive IEM and you like a wide range of music, maybe you're not a detail freak like that, and you don't need to have every single organism detail present on every single last one of your different styles of music that you like, and you like to have fun, I would definitely recommend these, because these are different, and man, they're beautiful, man. This is a beautiful pair of IEMs. Another thing I also want to mention is that when I listen to maybe lo-fi tracks on this, I mostly have hi-fi tracks on here, but there are some lo-fi albums on here that, you know, some things you can't get all high resolution, you know, so on and so forth. And some things you just have to settle for what they are. So, you know, when I listen to Enter the Wu-Tang Clan at 36 Chambers, one of my favorite tracks of all time, Protect Your Neck, one of my favorite verses of all time by Inspector Deck. You know what I mean? I smoke on the mic like smoking Joe Frazier. Listen, man, these make me, you know, they make me feel the rhymes. So even when you have albums, or when you have tracks, or when you have lo-fi songs, and you know it's just not done very well, you don't have a very good copy of something, these to me don't really, they don't make it stand out so much that you don't enjoy the things you enjoy. There are some IEMs out there that make you not enjoy certain things because, you know what I mean, it's separating the music so much, and it's pulling things out of the music so much that it's making it kind of sound crappy. These aren't one of those kind of IEMs. I feel like they make everything just sound good. They make everything sound better than what you already liked about those tracks and what you already liked about those albums. It makes it sound better. And that's my humble opinion. Obviously, everybody stay within your budget. I would never tell anybody to go out and spend, you know, thousands of dollars on a bunch of stuff that they can't necessarily, you know what I mean, aren't necessarily viable. But if you have the opportunity to listen to these, maybe you got a friend, or maybe there's a shop near you. I'm not very fortunate like that. There's no shops next to me. There's no outlets. I don't have any friends that are necessarily into the hobby. You know, I just got the internet. And that's one of the reasons why I started doing this to begin with, because, you know, when you live in the States, I'm originally from the Midwest, and, you know, when I go online and I used to see highly expensive items like this, and I'd see it sitting there, but it has 0 reviews, nobody's got it, nobody's bought it, at least in my region of where I'm from, and, you know, it just looks intriguing to me. I'm the type of person that's going to go buy it and then tell everybody else kind of what I thought about it, if they were also sitting there looking at it on the fence too, and maybe just probably didn't pull the trigger on it because nobody else got it. That's primarily why I started doing YouTube, is because, you know, there's a lot of people out there that got questions, and if I can, I'm here to answer the questions. So ask away. But if you're a music lover and you're a music fan and you like all different types of music, I mean, everything from contemporary jazz to opera, to hip hop, especially hip hop, because that's where I primarily live. That's my realm right there. Then you're going to love these, because these are trying to do everything. And I do believe they succeeded in pretty much doing everything. Pretty much. These are OG, triple OG, the tried and true joints. These are my customs, so nothing's necessarily beating these for me. And then again, I don't really do too much treble, so the fact that these are very much so focused on the low end frequencies, just for me, is just these are a classic. The Empire Ear Legend X's. And if you look at my case, my custom case that I had made, I actually put Game Over on it, because these are my Game Over headphones, mostly because I spent so much money on them at the time, which was absurd to me at the time. Probably ran me around $2,700 after all of the you know, all of the little customizations. And at the time, that was probably the most money I've ever spent on a pair of IEMs. This still is the most money I've ever spent on a pair of IEMs. I don't regret it, because I love these. But I did lose a little bit of sleep after purchasing them, just because, you know, you never know how you're going to like something until you get it. And I got it and I loved it. And, you know, I have a great community of guys out there that I get recommendations from, and that I look at closely, that, you know, are fortunate and are able to get different things and can give me different recommendations based on what I like. So hopefully I can be that for you guys and kind of point you in the right direction. You don't necessarily need to spend all this money, but if you're going to do it, you might as well do it right. And I feel like if you do it with the Unique Melody Mest Mark II, you did it right. Peace.